welcome to another episode of Cool Discussions where nothing is off limits. Today we're going to start with a very serious topic. We're going to talk about terrorism. Terrorism does show up in the news all the time. It probably will show up in discussions with your friends and family. Maybe not, but generally yes, because it does happen. The reason why we're bringing it up this time is because just a week ago there was a terrorist attack in West Africa, in specifically Burkina Faso. I probably pronounced that wrong, where 6 Canadians died. 29 people died in total from 23 other countries. I'm saying 6 Canadians died because generally Canada has been pretty removed from terrorism. We've had very few casualties from terrorist attacks. We have had some, but nothing in comparison to African nations, Asia, and the States. Even for that matter, Europe, only because of what happened in...
Don't you think it's a little bit weird where the attack took place? Like, why Africa? If I'm a terrorist and I'm going, hey, I'm gonna attack some place, would you not want to do more of a place where you could do more damage, where you could do?
Well, okay. In Africa right now, there is an ISIS-like movement. They are associated with Al Qaeda. They are fighting for the Muslim state, the Capare. Probably pronounced that wrong again. They're fighting for that in Africa as well. It's expanded quite rapidly, and there's a lot of war going on in Africa over things like that.
Right.
So what they're doing is they're generally a lot of this country. It's a small little country of only like 17 million people. They've been largely removed from the battles, from the war. Actually, in the neighboring country, there's been a lot more attacks. There's been kidnappings. There's been violent attacks, suicide bombers, things like that. This is the second time that they have been hit, so they're probably being dragged into...
So these people were over there for what? What were they over there? It was a mission, right? Wasn't it? It was like
humanitarian mission.
And
they were there to fix... I think they said specifically they were there to fix roofs.
So they were just innocent. They were just minding their own business, doing some good over there, and then somebody came in and they took their hotel, right?
Yes. So the Splendid Hotel, which is in an area of the capital city where a lot of foreigners tend to reside while they are there. 4 jihadists stormed the hotel, taking a lot of prisoners. About 100, I'm going to say 156 people were taken prisoner.
Have you heard any kind of motive? What have they come out? Has ISIS or any jihadi groups come out and said, we did this? This is our work?
Yes. They have actually claimed responsibility for it. However, because the jihadists themselves were actually killed in the
raid,
in the saving of the hostages,
okay.
We don't know specifically what their motives were, but it's generally assumed that because they were with ISIS that they were doing it on behalf.
What
of
is their motive? What are these guys? What is their end game with all this terror? What is their end game of what is their...
ISIS right now wants to make a Muslim state, or a Muslim country, I should say. So they want that Muslim country to basically be the entire world. And, well, because they have a high density in the Middle East, that's where they're going to start. They've taken over bits and pieces of Iraq, Syria.
Do you know what a Muslim state country would look like? Like, what's like...
A Muslim state would be, well, theoretically, like any country, they'd have a government, but they'd have government, just like in Canada, right? You'd have cities, you'd have provinces, etc., etc. The difference is how the government is run.
Right.
The government
Their beliefs, right?
The government would actually be run by a religious caste system.
Okay.
This is what I understand of Islam, So I could be
understand it,
totally wrong, but they want to run a country with religion as the state
Like the
religion,
base of their...
as the base of their
foundation?
whole society.
Okay.
So they'd be living by something called Sharia law.
So, okay, so I understand they're trying to take it by force, someplace by force, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so like, if they had their own little country, do you think they would just leave people alone? If they
No,
had their own
no,
state,
no.
they would continue to try to grow.
Depending on the interpretation of Islam, extremists interpret the Quran to be that they have to take over the world.
Right,
That
okay.
it is going to be a worldwide system.
Okay.
This thing that they want to do. So
So they want
if
the
they
whole-
have a country, they're going to be their starting point,
Yeah.
and they're going to take over neighboring countries by various means. Now, depending on how you want to look at things, you can take over a country by force,
Yeah.
or you can just immigrate there and then just end up over time becoming the majority.
yeah.
Yeah, if you become the majority there, you take over by
So-
laws and
So are they trying to like see which area of the world is most successful?
successful.
Yeah, that word. Wow. To this kind of hostile takeover, because they've kind of tried. Seems like in the U.S., Europe, and now they're kind of. It seems like they're going now in Africa. They're doing a little bit of stuff.
They've been in Africa for a long time. Muslims are Muslims generally. The religion was founded in the Middle East. Okay, in Crusader times.
Yeah.
Probably longer than that, but I don't know specifically when. But when the Europeans were sending troops over to take over Israel, back then the Muslim faith had already been established. They were a world power at that point in time.
The Muslims were.
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
The Crusades were actually against the Muslim nations to take over Jerusalem, because Jerusalem was a holy site for both Christians and Muslims. Muslims fought back because they don't want to have the Christians have their holy site, and the Christians don't want the Muslims to have their holy site.
Yeah.
So it was a big war of religion back then. Politics as well. There was a lot of politics involved. Religion just happened to be the thing that spurred on this little fight. Now, nowadays, because Muslims, they expanded from the Middle East, so they went into Asia and they went into Africa, because Africa is, just, it's actually just, you go down through Israel into Egypt, so they expanded through there, and they expanded into Asia as well. Now, Europe, because of the higher Christian population, kind of didn't allow this back in the 1600s or whenever the Crusades were. Nowadays, because everybody can immigrate pretty freely into Western nations like Europe, North America, Muslims have started to spread because of that. So the Muslim religion has spread because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So what have we as Canadians decided to do about it? Have we done anything about it yet? What's our reaction? What's the world's reaction? Because to be honest, I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't remember hearing about this attack or this hostage taking of a hotel. I remember briefly, but it was kind of like it wasn't a big world event that I heard of. So.
Okay, terrorist attacks have become so
It's almost like a norm.
commonplace. Like, if you go onto Wikipedia and look up terrorist attack in January of this year, 2016, there is a terrorist attack almost every single day. I think out of the 22 days that we've had so far in this
bad.
year.
Like, it's totally bad
It's
that
like-
it's become a norm, eh? Like,
Yeah, so a lot of terrorist attacks tend to be underreported.
Yeah.
In Canadian media,
It's almost like there's a death toll that has to hit, eh? Like, if it's, like, under a certain amount of deaths, it's like... You know,
Terrorist attacks are reported. If you go, you got to be paying attention. That's the thing.
Exactly.
If you're not looking for these things, you can quite easily miss them
like
because
me, because I missed this one. I didn't even, you hear about the one in Paris, 130 people dead or whatever
Yep.
it was. It's all over the news. You hear
yeah,
this one
worldwide
here,
news all the time.
this one here, 6 people, 7 people dead.
Oh no, 29 people dead.
29 people dead. It's like it's
From
not even. It's like sweeping under the rug.
Different countries.
Yeah.
18 different countries. So they hit everybody pretty much all in one swoop. And it's weird because Canada's generally removed from this, and we had 6 Canadians die in this thing.
So
which
what do you
is
think we should do about it? What do you think? I know that Canada has, our prime minister has pulled our jets out of the.
We just had an election, not in October.
Yeah.
The previous prime minister actually was all for the fight against ISIS. Had 6 Canadian
The CF-18s or whatever,
CF-18s
Yeah.
flying bombing runs, along with a coalition of other countries: U.S., Germany,
I think,
France,
yeah.
Italy,
Isn't it
Denmark.
like NATO type thing?
Not. It's a NATO thing, but not all NATO
Official,
members
yeah.
have been sending jets.
Yeah.
A lot of NATO members have been sending troops to help.
Yeah, like on the
To
ground,
help
the
train.
various.
Yeah. So.
Do you think it's our fight?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Not that I wanted to talk about this, but the Syrian refugee problem.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with displaced people. These displaced people don't want to migrate. They don't want to leave their home. They want to go back to Syria.
Yeah.
And the only way to get back for them to get back to Syria is 1, to stop the Syrian civil war, and 2, stop ISIS.
Right.
2 major conflicts. There's lots of different players involved in the Syrian war. ISIS being one of them, which also happens to be attacking Iraq and a few other places.
But if we get rid of, whoever the head of ISIS is right now, if we wipe him out, there's just going to be somebody else to replace him.
Yeah.
It's going to be impossible to wipe out ISIS completely, because there's always going to be people with the extreme views of the Quran and that religion, and there's always going to be people who have those extreme views and take those values a little bit too literally, And there's always going to be that. So how do we just keep bombing people? Do we just keep fighting? Do we always just constantly be at war? Do we ever find peace? Do we ever find a time where we can go, is there a way to coexist with these people in this world?
And that's the question that has stumped everybody, because you can't. Well, how do you argue with an extremist? You don't.
Exactly, you can't, because their views are so extreme and they're so out there. It's like that they don't listen. They're not. Well, they're listening to you. They're not hearing you when you're talking to them. It's
exactly.
So it's to me. I don't like the idea of war. I don't like the idea of. I like the idea of helping people who are in trouble, defending ourselves if somebody's attacking us. But I don't like the idea of going over and being like, hey, we're going to impose our ways on you, because in a free society, you need to be able to let people, unfortunately, practice in their own religion, right? As long as they're not harming other people. Mm-hmm. And that's where this line is crossed. They're harming other people.
Yes.
So how do we stop them? That's the biggest thing. How do we prevent things like this happening on a daily basis? I don't think we can. So we're fighting a battle that is, in a sense, just going to be going around in circles. Because at first it was Saddam Hussein.
No, okay, hold on. Saddam Hussein, up until he was ousted, the region was actually pretty stable. Saddam Hussein, despite being a dictator, had things under control. Nobody, unless you pissed him off, you could pretty much live in peace.
But see, that's the thing. The way he was perceived over here was that he was the problem.
And
that's where it kind of maybe gets a little bit misinterpreted from. So were the Americans, and were they trying to just go over there and be like, hey, we want to impose our way over here because we don't like what you're doing? So it started at that point.
Again, that's a debate for the internet because a lot of people say, "Oh, the Americans went over to Iraq to invade so they can get their oil." Right? The whole thing was about oil because they said, "Oh, weapons of mass destruction. We got to stop them from using it." They never found any of these weapons of mass destruction, and Iraq is a much worse place than it ever used to be.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, because it's open, anybody's can try to take and be the leader of that area, right?
it was poorly set up afterwards. There was no game plan about what to do, how to get things up and going afterwards. The whole place was squandered afterwards. It was ripped apart by vultures.
Yeah.
The vultures being for profit companies, politicians, ISIS end up growing from all that stuff. So it's really hard to state.
My point that I was trying to get at there is that, like, if you go from, like, the first, like, in my generation, from what I remember, the first one was the Gulf War, right? Mm-hmm. Saddam Hussein. So we kind of got rid of him. And then Osama bin Laden. We got rid of him. And now it's ISIS. So what happens when if we get rid of ISIS? What's going to come up next?
Oh, something else will,
you know what I mean?
Grow from the ashes of ISIS as well.
So what's our end game? When, like, to me, there always has to be, if you're fighting an argument or you're having a debate, there always has to be some sort of end game. There always has to be some sort of reason that you're doing it. Are we doing it just because?
Unfortunately, right now the reason is to stop them, and well, that's not a good enough reason. It's like we should be fighting to have to stop them for refugees to go home, to build a country, to build a society that they want to live in, even if it's not to what we think they should be doing it to. At least it's to what they are doing it to.
We should be we shouldn't be the puppet master.
Yeah.
We should be like we should be just a partner with them to help them.
Yeah.
Kind of put the pieces in place when they get their country. We should be there to be like, hey, this is our experiences. We can try this. We can try that. Let's see what happens. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think, to me, it almost seems like we're going over there, we're bombing the hell out of them, and we're going, sorry about your country. You know? Like, we're blowing up your whole country. Sorry about that.
That kind of is exactly what we're doing. Yeah, it is what we're doing. Unfortunately, it is just the way things are, because no one world leader can decide on common ground.
Yeah, what's right for everybody.
Yeah, the Americans think one way. The European Union, despite being a union, all have different ideas of what they should be doing.
Yeah.
Canada, it's admirable that that the new government wants to be there to help establish. It's good for them to want to set up an end game, but I don't think they're thinking about what the whole
Canadian government.
Yeah, the Canadian government is thinking, you know what? Let's pull our jets out. Let's stop being aggressive and just help them be defensive. It's like, well, it only helps to a point. You still need to have against an entity like ISIS. You have to have an aggressive end game as well. You can't just be, oh, well, let them come to us. It's like, no, you have to put boots on the ground, send troops over, and root them out. The problem is like no Western nation wants to commit to a ground war because it's against the tribes in Afghanistan. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. You're going to get casualties because as much as we'd like to think we could fight a war like World War II, where there's two sides in uniforms going against each other, try to leave civilians out of it, one side, the ISIS side, isn't going to play that way. They're going to fight dirty, and it's going to be a messy war. So nobody wants to commit to that. So it's hard to say, oh, we want to do this. Because, well, are you going to do it?
Yeah.
The countries are going, are you going to do it?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
They're waiting for somebody to make the first move. And it's like I said, I'm okay if we're going in there and we're helping with defeat the problem. As long as we're not going over there just to be like, hey, this is the way it has to be. We're not the puppet master. Because I don't think we as North Americans, we'll call us North Americans because everybody clumps us in with the Americans most times anyways. Mm-hmm. We're almost the same. Big brother, little brother type thing. And I don't think that we should be being the big brother of the world, the police of the world. I think we should be there to help people. You know what I mean? Like to back people up and be, okay, we're here to help. We'll help you. We'll get you on your feet. But that's as far as we go. You know, we'll train you guys to defend yourselves. We'll try. We'll do what we can, but we're not going to come over here and just bomb you guys, bomb them out, and then be like, okay, see you later. You know, it's like that's my point. Like, where is the end game? I hear people saying we just need another world war, and it's like, whoa. Do you realize if we have another world war, guys, that this will be the end of humanity? It will not be fought with guns.
No. Okay,
it'll be fought with nuke weapons.
Okay, does ISIS have nuke weapons?
We don't know.
If they had nukes,
but do you not think that
they would have detonated one of them? Oh yes, they would have went boom and go.
But do you not think they could get them if there was a mass war like that? If there was a
world war?
Yeah.
No, because the Americans and the Russians are going to hold on to their nuclear weapons. They still do it. They hold on.
Mr. Korea over there?
Oh, yeah, whatever. He detonated a bomb with hydrogen. He didn't make a hydrogen bomb. He just detonated a bomb with hydrogen.
Well, I'm just saying there is always a possibility.
There's always the wild card. Yes, there are wild cards out there because India and Pakistan both have nuclear weapons, and sometimes it's a surprise that they actually haven't used it on each other.
Yeah.
However, they also know that if they use it on each other, they're all
a little
going
scared.
to die.
I think people, because they know what the devastation that can cause.
Yeah,
so they're kind of like
that's what MAD was about, mutually assured destruction.
Yeah.
Right. That's the reason why the Americans and the Russians during the Cold War never went at it. Because they knew everybody was going to die.
Yeah.
And they were guaranteeing that everybody was just going to die. So it's kind of like, we get that part.
Yeah. Well, my thing is just where's the end game in this terrorism thing? You know, where is the...
There isn't an end game. That's the thing. ISIS has an end game.
Well,
which
they want to rule the world.
A little lofty, yes, but they do control large portions of the Middle East and Africa.
Yeah.
So if they were able to consolidate what they have and build from there, they could be a world power. But because they keep fighting, or we keep fighting against them, they don't have that opportunity, which is probably a really good thing because a really, really big army could do a lot of damage, especially in the Middle East.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to... I just want to say, Canada has been far removed from what's going on. I think this is the worst terrorist attack that Canada has ever suffered in recent history.
For like Canadian casualties,
for Canadian casualties. Well, for Canadian casualties, and the thing is, I noticed that you had problems finding any articles about this.
I did. I couldn't find anything.
I knew about it because I read it in the papers, and I started watching it online. But unless you were paying attention right off the bat, considering we had 6 people dead, there's not a lot of
to do about it.
The media isn't saying, "Oh, we got to do this."
Yeah,
it's very quiet, and
that goes back to our point where you're saying before. It's almost become the norm. It's almost become just a daily event of, oh, somebody bombed this place, somebody bombed that place, people are dead. And in entertainment news, and it's
that's unfortunately very true.
Well, hold on, you just said that people died. Whoa, back up the news train here. Like what,
Yeah, well,
There's just no...
there was no public outcry as far as I could tell. It's like,
No.
they lost 6 people. It's like,
Oh, okay.
these are 6 people that died doing something for other people. And, I feel horrible for them because if I remember the facts correctly, 4 of them were from the same family.
I think so. Yeah, 3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah,
There was I think there was a mom, and then her kid, and then one. Maybe the daughter of the kid or something. But there was 3 or something in the same family.
And it was that's really heartbreaking. Now I did take away something interesting. Not that this should distract from the fact that somebody died, but the Canadian government isn't actually allowed to state any information about people that die in foreign countries. It is actually against the law. So if you want to know who was involved, you actually need to go through the families or the medias, because the media, I don't think, is bound by that law.
Yeah.
But and the media is actually, when they did talk about this, was really nice and friendly about it. They interviewed one of the people involved, and they waited for him to come to them.
Yeah.
They didn't hunt him down, so
Well, that's good.
I give kudos to the Canadian
Didn't our
media.
Prime Minister call one of the victims' husbands, the husband of the victim?
Yeah, that was that I think was actually rather amusing. If you read his story, the Prime Minister phoned him and started talking political. For lack of a better term, some people will understand exactly what that means. Other people won't.
Local bull crap.
Yeah, he started spewing stuff, and the guy's
what
like,
you want to hear when your wife dies.
yeah, the guy was like, no, I don't want to hear this. You know what? He said to the Prime Minister, go hug your wife and children, and hung up on him.
Yeah.
Now, to compare, the Quebec Premier phoned him as well to offer his condolences. And the Quebec Premier actually said, I'm going to see what I can do about getting rid of some of this red tape that surrounds stuff like this, so we can expedite.
So be more proactive in it, not
Yeah,
just...
he was actually, trying, hey, I feel for you. You know what? You opened my eyes. I want to do this for you. Let's see if I can do this.
To me, it felt like the Prime Minister was just doing it to save face. He was just doing it to make himself look good, to be like, oh yeah, you know,
photo op. He was doing a photo op. What
And
politicians...
it's like, what? What are you doing? Come on. Like, people can see right through you.
Very true.
People can see right through you.
Unfortunately, I'm going to say unfortunately, because I didn't vote for him. He is our Prime Minister. This is what we are stuck with for the next 4 years. And unfortunately, it does look like he is going to remove Canada from the fight.
He already has. He already has removed some of us. So it looks like we're going to be just sitting here.
Yeah, well, on
thumb up our
top
ass.
of that, he's removed Canada from the fight. And I guess there was, 2 days ago, there was a meeting of the coalition against ISIS about possibly what could be an endgame. And the Canadian Defense Minister was not invited, even though the Italian Defense Minister was invited. And Italy, although has no jets on the ground, they are actively partaking in the fight against ISIS. So we were snubbed, and that's all because our current Prime Minister is saying we don't want to fight. And it's like, well, we have to. But I agree with him. We should have an end game, and I think it should be agreed upon.
And if you support the going over there and bombing the hell out of people and killing innocent bystanders and stuff like that, then it should be your tax dollar that goes to it, not mine. Like, I'm okay with like a helping hand. I'm not okay with I'm gonna go bomb a bunch of places, because there's tons of examples of missed things. Like, we're not gonna get into it right now because we'll be here for hours talking about this kind of stuff.
I will just counterpoint that. By comparison, we nowadays bombing runs are way more precise than what they used to do in World War II.
Oh, well,
in
definitely.
World War II, they just used to
scatterbomb.
fly No, they just used to fly
Yeah.
giant planes over a city
Drop
and
bombs.
drop bombs and
Yeah.
hope that they hit.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, you can fire a missile and go, you know what, that's going to be within 5 meters. Whereas, if you drop 30 bombs and you're just trying to hit a building or building a block, a city block, and you hope for the best. So, by comparison, nowadays bombing is
It's
so
more
much.
sophisticated, but it's still killing people. It's still...
They're not trying to do that, though.
Yeah, but... Yeah, well... Well, they're trying to kill people. They're throwing a deadly weapon.
They're not trying to kill civilians.
That's a debate for another day.
Yeah, I think so too.
That is definitely a bone of contention in my mind. Yeah.
So don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Facebook / Cool Discussions, on YouTube, Cool Discussions, on iTunes at Cool Discussions, as well as Twitter.
At Cool Discussion.
Yeah, I don't know the Twitter too well, so
Follow us on all that, like, subscribe. Because we're here every week. We're doing this every week. We're talking. We're blabbing our mouths. And I hope you're listening. Hope you're having a good time, guys.
thank you.
See you later.